Good morning, everybody. You are currently listening to a Tall Girls podcast hosted by a tall girl named India. I hope everyone who is tuning in today is doing super fantastic. Before I get into this episode, I do want to say, make sure you're following me on my socials at a Tall Girls podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest so that you can stay up to date on all of the latest podcast episodes and catch a glimpse of my everyday life. Also, feel free to leave me a review and let me know how tall you are. I'm genuinely curious. And make sure you subscribe to my newsletter as well. That's going to be linked in the description. Yes, I did it. I finally was able to subscribe to the newsletter before I say that everything is going to be linked in the description. That only took 2 months before I got it right? But hey, better late than never in my opinion. And I think I'm going to cut my intros a little bit shorter because, when I'm editing these episodes, I'm realizing that it takes about 5 to 6 minutes for me to get straight to the point of what this episode is about. That's why I do want to stress to sign up for my newsletter, subscribe to my newsletter, because usually in my intros, I provide updates for you guys on my life and what's going on. And I think I'm still going to do that, but it's going to be a little bit more rapid fire instead of me going in depth about it. I'm going to go more in depth about these things relating to my personal life, the things that I do want to share in my newsletter. So make sure you subscribe so you can hear more updates. And that's all I'm going to say. And we're going to move on to the topic of today's episode, which is tall girl fan pages. If you didn't watch my last episode, if you didn't listen to my last episode, I spoke about why the internet is a scary place for tall women. I'm going to link that in the description as well so that you are able to just tune in and basically get like an introduction of what I'm going to speak about today, get a little bit of an overview because I discussed a few things in that episode, but I briefly covered tall girl fan pages and briefly spoke about that. And today I want to do a deeper dive into that, especially after seeing your comments on my social media posts that I've been putting up on Instagram and TikTok relating to, why the internet is just a scary place for tall women. And one of the things that I want to touch on heavily is the tall girl fan pages, because I don't think this is really spoken about enough. And, before I get into this episode, I do want to say that this is just my opinion. Okay. This is just what I think. These are just my thoughts. I'm not telling you to go and block and unfollow and send me messages and comments or whatever to these people who are being posted on these fan pages or these tall girl fan pages. Like, I'm not saying to do all of that. Okay. I'm just simply stating my opinion. Don't do anything crazy, please, but I trust you guys in all honesty. I just want to offer a different viewpoint of these tall girl fan pages and offer some sense of relatability because, many tall women are probably looking at this and feel some type of way. So I do kind of want to speak on their behalf or just make sure that their thoughts and voices are heard. That's honestly the point of this episode. Now, what are tall girl fan pages? These are social media accounts that showcase and celebrate tall women. Kinda. These accounts often feature photos, videos, and even stories of tall women, often highlighting their height as a main point of attraction. And while these accounts are supposed to provide a sense of community and celebration, some of them do have a dark side to them, specifically promoting unrealistic beauty standards in tall women and objectification. And, these accounts are in a lot of places, especially on social media like Instagram and TikTok, and even Flickr. Do y'all remember Flickr? We're all there for that. I'm sure you were, because Flickr was the thing when I was in middle school. That and Visco. If you weren't up on that, if you weren't using it, if you weren't posting on it, if you weren't on it, you were not a cool kid in middle school. Flickr was everything back in the day. Me saying back in the day as if it wasn't 10, 15 years ago. Anyways, back to the topic of discussion. These fan pages, these tall girl fan pages are in various places of the internet, and they honestly have a lot of common themes. And a major theme that I'm seeing is that they're posting extremely tall women. And partially because of these accounts, I feel like when people hear that a woman is tall, they think 6'4" and up. And that does bring up the question, what is considered tall for a woman? In my personal opinion, I don't think that is limited to the height range of 6'4" and up. But these pages are posting several videos and several photos of extremely tall women who, I mean, yes, they do include women who are like 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", but a lot of them are like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". And the truth is, the tall woman population, like a lot of us are not necessarily in that height range. And then on top of that, while they are posting videos and photos of tall women who are around the same height, a similar height, I guess you could say, these tall women also have similar body types. And that brings me to the point that some tall girl fan pages promote a very narrow or idealized view of what a tall woman looks like. In these posts, many of the tall women have very similar heights and very similar body types. And this could be bad because it can lead to self-comparison among tall women. And it's like, yes, some tall women do compare themselves to average height and even shorter women, but it's also interesting to see that some tall women also compare themselves to other tall women. And this can be for height, proportions, and body type and body shape. Consistently showing this ideal version of a tall woman can lead to unrealistic standards of tall beauty and unhealthy self-comparison. Hey, it's Editing India here. I just wanted to come on and go a little bit more in depth about this point. A lot of what I've been seeing on these tall girl fan pages in terms of body type are extremely tall but also fairly slim women. I'm talking slim to the skinnier side and tall like 6'4" and up, as I mentioned earlier. Don't get me wrong, these women are absolutely stunning, but these are most, if not all, of the posts that are on these tall girl fan pages. And on top of that, many of them have features that may or may not appeal to a certain audience, if you know what I mean, which I will get into later. But this includes bigger bosoms, bigger buttocks, wider hips, etc. Again, these women are super stunning, okay? No tea, no shade to them. But why are these accounts primarily posting these extremely tall and slim women with these features? And, you know, of course, many of them are in heels too. There are other women, even young girls, who have access to this content and seeing that and maybe thinking to be a tall woman and to be considered a tall, beautiful woman, I have to look like this. And that's not okay because that is not the case. Again, the issue really isn't the women being posted. It's more so the lack of diversity in body types and in heights. Okay, not everyone is that tall. Some of our heights start with a 5. Where are my short, tall girls at? But we're still considered tall. And then not everybody's bodies are going to look like theirs as well. We are all different. We are all unique. Why are we not seeing different types of tall women? Oh, wait, it's because you want to present this idealized version of a tall woman. Anyways, back to the episode. And honestly, it's gross and unsettling. And because of that, I do want to say that tall women come in different shapes and sizes. Some are tall, some are short, tall. Some have long legs, some have long torsos. Some are thicker and some are thinner. All tall bodies are beautiful, and I'm hoping that you see and agree with that. Many of these tall girl fan pages are not necessarily representative of that. Some of them don't really show different body types, different body shapes, even different heights. And you know, that can honestly be a little bit sad if other tall girls are looking at this because they're like, oh my gosh, I don't really see anybody who looks like me, who is built like me, who is shaped like me. And you know, that can honestly lead to a lot of insecurities. Yeah, so that is one side, how these tall girl fan pages are not necessarily representative of all heights and all body types and body shapes, and how that can promote unrealistic standards of tall beauty, and how that can lead to unhealthy self-comparison and insecurities in tall women. Next up is objectification. You really do have to ask yourself, what are these tall girl fan pages for? Are they to support and celebrate tall women, or to satisfy the male gaze? Because, you know, some of these posts do really focus on superficial attributes of tall women. And, you know, when scrolling through these posts and scrolling through these videos, it's kind of like, is it really to celebrate and support tall women? Okay, I mean, like, by all means, these women, like, whenever they post it on their sites or submit it, you do you, wear whatever you want to wear, do whatever you want to do. Like, I am here for it. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, confident, and happy, and as long as they have your consent, I'm here, I'm down. However, when you're looking at a lot of these followers and a lot of these comments, At least 60% of them are men. Like, the comments actually are crazy. When you scroll through the comments, most of them are actually men. And they're talking and going on about how the women in these posts look yummy and asking if they're looking for a short king. And there was even this one video where there was this woman, she was doing like a power pose, and there was a short guy who walked like under her legs. And they were like, oh, if I was him, I would have looked up. What? Like, what kind of stuff is this? It's honestly disgusting and dehumanizing and disheartening. And this is where we bring in the two sides of comments made about women's bodies. The first side is about, like, you know, the negative or like the mean things, like, oh, like, you're a giant, daddy long legs, mommy long legs, and all that stuff, all the mean comments about it. And then there's the other side where the comments often are dehumanizing and sexualizing, and it's just a bit much, in my opinion. Hey, it's Editing India here again. I just wanted to come back and make another point. First, I want to start off by saying that everyone is entitled to their own preference, okay? If you are a person who is into tall women, like, listen, if you prefer that, if you prefer to date tall women, go for it. I am not hating on you. No tea, no shade, no beef. Go for it. I'm here for it. Everybody's entitled to their own preferences and opinions. Okay. I am just saying that many of these posts focus on superficial attributes that cater to male desires. And I did make an educated guess, and listen, if I'm wrong, that is fine. I'm willing to accept defeat, but I am pretty sure that most of the followers, because most definitely most of these comments under these posts, most of the followers are men. Just like how the ones all up in them comments are also men. Well, for the most part, men, because there's also some women commenting down there too, but mainly men. And listen, not all comments are bad. Some of them actually are just pointing out facts or stating facts relating to the video or the person in the video. Others are actually kind of nice or just saying, yeah, you look nice, da 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 da. It's not like super creepy in any way. Some are just, you know, weird emojis, but it's like, you can ignore emojis. Like what is that going to do? But there are other comments that are pretty outrageous, okay? Like saying like their long legs are from heaven, like referring to the tall girl's legs, or I want me a giant girl. Like, it's just, I'm sorry. I'm literally cringing by the fact that I repeated that. But anyways, listen, these posts are focusing more on the physical attributes of a tall woman. I get it. They're not really broadcasting or displaying any other aspect of them in terms of their personality or whatever. And most of these comments are going to focus on the physical attributes because the post is focusing on the physical attributes. And again, these comments are a little bit like creepy, you know, sexualizing tall women, dehumanizing them in a way, just basing their worth or whatever on their physical appearance, what they're wearing, how they're looking, how tall they are. And when I'm going through these comments, it's not like they're really getting much of any response. Like, I don't know if people are messaging them based on the comments, but nobody's really replying to their comments like that. In fact, their comments are just getting likes. And I guess that kind of feeds their ego in a way that's like, yeah, like I could say whatever I want. I could listen, free country, free speech, da 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 da. I get it. I understand. But, you know, I would like to say that there's a limit on morally, there's a limit on things that you should be saying. All right. But because nobody's really saying much of anything or responding to their comments, which I'm not condoning you do that. I'm not saying that you should, but these comments are getting likes. They're like, oh, people are in support of what I'm saying. What I'm saying is true, da 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 da. Then they have the courage, the bravery to take those comments and turn it into messages and send messages to the tall women, not even necessarily in those posts, other tall women as well, and say the same thing that they're saying in the comments to the tall women in their DMs and messages. And that is just not okay. All right. That is where we definitely need to draw the line, because you don't know me. I don't know you. There is no need to be having this type of conversation. But anyways, I just wanted to come on and make that point. Back to the episode. And in relation to the comments, I just want to say people's comments about you, people's comments about your height do not define your worth. You define your worth. Let's just put that out there. So who's really to blame for the issues surrounding these tall girl fan pages? It's not the women that are being posted on these pages. It's not really the people commenting and following, even though they kind of play a part in that because they're helping to push out this content. But it's more so the ones who are doing the posting. They are picking and choosing what videos, what images to post, writing these captions, using the hashtags, and posting it. They are curating their feed in a specific way to send a certain message that they don't really respect us past a superficial and physical level. No tea, no shade though. Anyways, so my big thing with this, my big tip is honestly, just to stay safe. And if you don't feel comfortable like submitting stuff to these pages for them to post on their page, don't do it. If you're not comfortable and if you don't consent to it, don't do it. And before you follow these tall girl fan pages thinking that it's to support and celebrate tall women, I just want you to make sure that you actually look through their feed before you press follow. Honestly, you should be doing that with every person that you're going to follow on social media. Always look at their feed, scroll through their feed, especially if they're a public page, scroll through their feed and see what content they're posting and then determine whether or not you want to follow them. Like I said earlier, I'm not here to say, oh, don't follow them, block them, or like, I don't know, go and harass them, send them messages. I'm not saying to do all of that. I'm just saying to be careful and be aware of this. So what do you think? Let me know. Hit me up on my socials at A Tall Girls Podcast, linked below, of course. And I want to hear your thoughts about tall girl fan pages. Do you agree? Do you disagree with what I said? Are you in favor of them? Are you against them? Let's continue this conversation because, just bringing these two ideas to light with the whole promoting these unrealistic standards and just objectifying and sexualizing tall women. Like, I feel like there's also other areas to it that I didn't cover. So if you have anything else that you want to add to this conversation, let's have a conversation about it. Let's talk about it. Hit me up and let me know. And thank you for tuning into this episode. I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate you. And my DMs are waiting for you. Make sure you hit me up. And until then, I'll catch you in the next one. Good night and goodbye.